production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, Farm Week celebrates its 36th anniversary and kicks off its 37th season on the air.
U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack holds a public forum in Jackson, Mississippi. He pointed out just how few farmers that America depends on for its food.
In Southern Gardening, we'll have a preview of the Fall Flower and Garden Fest at Crystal Springs. It happens October 18th and 19th.
In the markets, International Paper is permanently closing its Courtland, Alabama mill. What should you do with your new corn crop? One market watcher says put it in the bin.
In the feature segment, high tunnels. This kind of greenhouse requires no heating, but it does allow growers to plant and harvest earlier when prices are higher.
This comes in a lot earlier. We picked our first tomato April the 28th, I believe. The first ripe one, not the first green one, the first ripe one.
Good day, everyone. I'm Amy Taylor.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Today is a special day here on Farm Week. It's our 36th anniversary.
Amy, it's hard to believe, but this is Farm Week's 36th anniversary. Farm Week first came on the air in 1977. It's also hard to believe that I've been on it a majority of those times. Farm Week's first broadcast occurred on Monday, October 3rd, 1977 on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. For more than 17 years, we aired on Monday night at 7:30, just prior to Monday Night Football. Younger viewers won't remember this, but there was a time when the ABC television network's Monday Night Football broadcast was phenomenally popular. It came on at 8 Central Time. If Farm Week had been just 30 minutes later, we might have never gotten off to a good start. Not that Farm Week viewers would have chosen football over us. Now, how many episodes of Farm Week have there been? Well, this week's show marks the 1,828th Farm Week production. We produce a new episode every week, so it keeps us busy. So, Amy, how long have you been on Farm Week so far?
It's been 7 years. Well, it will be 7 years in January.
Oh, you're just getting settled in. You're just getting settled in. I think it'll be 29 years for me. Some people think I've been on here the whole time, but that's not the case. There was 7 years that I actually wasn't on the show. So, but anyway, we appreciate you that watch out there, though, because if you did not watch, it wouldn't matter what we did on this show. We would not be on the air, and we appreciate that. Now, Amy, you were out last week covering some news down in Jackson.
That's right, Artis. With the federal government in shutdown mode, passing a new farm bill has moved down the Congress's priority list. In order to secure the nation's food, fiber, and energy sources, it'll be necessary to stabilize rural America's economy. And to do that, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack says we must have a farm bill. The fate of the farm bill was one of the items on the agenda at the town hall discussion held by Vilsack last week in Jackson, Mississippi. United States Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack says the Farm Bill is the single most important piece of legislation for rural America, farmers, and anyone interested in food, energy, and creating jobs. Vilsack says America needs a new farm bill because most of the nation's food and fiber is grown by a relatively small number of farms.
First and foremost is commercial-sized production agriculture. It is the linchpin of rural America, has been, is today, and I suspect always will be. And that's a great opportunity for production agriculture to continue to expand market opportunities domestically and internationally. And so we are very much engaged in making sure that production agriculture can continue to be productive, protected against pests and diseases and changing climates, but also expand market opportunity around the world.
Vilsack says production agriculture is still the economic base of rural America. That asset, however, needs to be the foundation on which new industries and jobs are created.
33,000 farming operations are responsible for 50% of all that we grow in this country. Less than 1% produce 50% of everything we grow in this population, and less than 1% grows 85% of what we grow. So it's important and necessary that we extend beyond production agriculture and exports to complement that economy with other economies that take advantage of our natural resources, so we can create job opportunities so our young people have opportunities to live, work, and raise their families.
Additionally, Vilsack says supporting local and regional food systems, natural resource conservation, and wildlife diversity, as well as developing bioenergy sources, also play key roles in the urgency for a farm bill. He says the absence of this legislation could result in chaos at marketplaces and grocery stores across the U.S. I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
Well, as we end September, let's check on the Mississippi Weekly Crop Report from the Mississippi Ag Statistics Service in Jackson. This report reflects conditions as of last Sunday, September 2nd. As we look at topsoil moisture in the state, surplus in 15% of the Mississippi, adequate in 76%, so those rains have caught us up. Short 7%, 2% of the state has very short soil moisture. So we look at Mississippi soybeans, 53% of the crop is dropping leaves, 81% is the average for this state. Harvest 27%, normally it's over half finished at this time, but it was up 14 points in the last week. Mississippi soybeans, as we look in terms of condition, very good, 25% excellent, 53% good. So a vast majority of the crop in good to excellent condition. Fair 19%. None of the crop is listed in very poor condition. Mississippi cotton, open bowls, 74% of the crop. Normally we're right at 90% for this state in terms of harvest. Big time pickup there, up 22 points in the last week. It stands at 23% complete. Mississippi cotton, not in as good a shape, excellent 10%, but 65% of the crop in good shape, 22% in fair condition, 3% poor, 1% very poor. Mississippi rice, 42% of the crop is harvested, so we are kind of picking up the pace there, but the average for this state is 69%.
The Fall Flower and Garden Fest takes place in 2 weeks at Mississippi State University's Truck Crops Branch Experiment Station at Crystal Springs. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman tells us what's in store for visitors.
What is one of the best free horticulture field days in Mississippi and the Southeast? The answer, of course, is the Fall Flower and Garden Fest at MSU's Truck Crops Branch Station in Crystal Springs. Whether you're a garden novice or master gardener, you need to be here Friday and Saturday, October 18th and 19th for the Fall Flower and Garden Fest. There will be fun for the entire family. The event normally attracts over 6,000 visitors to see the latest in vegetables, herbs, and flowers. You'll be able to see a great selection of tough roses, ornamental grasses, tropical plants, and of course, fall vegetables and herbs. There are also plenty of new colorful plants to see. You can't beat the variety available in the ornamental sweet potatoes. Imagine the colorful ground cover you could have in your landscape. The tropical garden with the giant banana plants is a visitor favorite every year. There are numerous educational activities as well. There will be non-stop seminars and exhibits. And across the lake, vendors will be selling hot new plants perfect for fall planting. And if you have a gardening question or garden-related problem, look for the Mississippi State University experts wearing the vests. Come on out, we look forward to meeting you. I'll be there, and so will a lot of other horticulturists. Remember, put the Fall Flower and Garden Fest October 18th and 19th on your gardening calendar. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Once again, the dates are October 18th and 19th at Crystal Springs, about 30 minutes south of Jackson on I-55. The doors are open 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and admission and parking are free, so be sure also to bring a notepad and a camera because you will get a lot of ideas that you want to take home to your landscape and garden. And there will also be commercial vendors on hand with plants for sale. In the feature segment today, high tunnels. These structures are helping a lot of local food producers make more money. And time now for the markets with Artis Ford. He's standing in this week for Leighton Spann.
That's right, Amy. Leighton taking a little time off for some professional improvement. Livestock markets were affected by the government shutdown this week. There are a lot of daily slaughter reports and the like, which traders watch as they're looking for trends to trade on. But looking at the markets this week, a major pulpwood mill in North Alabama and Northeast Mississippi is closing permanently. Corn prospects have improved enough that some say store it if you can, and the fundamentals continue to be strong for beef. Well, catching up on forestry news, International Paper has announced that it will permanently close its paper mill in North Alabama at Courtland. Courtland is located on alternate Highway 72, about 50 miles from the Alabama-Mississippi state line. The plant is owned by it's the largest owned by IP, and it employs 1,100 people. It can produce up to 950,000 tons of paper a year. The 42-year-old paper mill is expected to close by March 31st of next year. The plant mostly makes copier-type paper. IP cited a 14-year downtrend in this market brought on as people switched to paperless electronic billing and online publications and the like. The closing will probably have a negative impact on pulpwood prices in Northeast Mississippi due to the mill's proximity and the massive amount of pulp that it buys. Well, December corn hit a 3-year low on Monday. At midweek, corn futures had recovered some. The stocks report released on Monday continues to weigh on the market, and harvest pressure is still a factor. The American Farm Bureau market report says that by the time the USDA releases its next supply and demand report, it believes that corn prices will be somewhere between $4 and $4.25. The prices should receive some relief, though, when the next crop report is expected to show a reduction in acreage. Market analyst Jamie Kohaki says prices might slide to $4.20. If you have storage, though, don't sell.
The small sample that is coming in is pretty decent, better than I think what was expected based off the weather this summer. But the key number for December has been 444, 445. Those lows there, Buster it, we're off to the races, maybe 420 or 430 area. But we can't seem to get through that off bearish news. So that signals to me maybe we need to see some profit taking, retrace a little bit higher, and then come back down again. I think the top side could be 470. If you have on-farm storage, I would fill the bins up and lock the door shut until January, February, March. There is carry from December out to March. It's not exactly full carry, but there is enough out there to pay some bills. So I would store corn right now, look to price it, forward price it sometime first quarter of next year.
Well, it's time for the trivia quiz today on Farm Week. The smell of fresh baked bread is heavenly, and the taste as well. Our question is, what about the amount of bread that you can bake from 1 bushel of wheat? The question, how many commercial-sized loaves of white bread can you make from 1 bushel of wheat? Is the answer 35, 42, 60, or 75? I'll tell you at the end of the markets.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the rest of the markets. Artis Ford reports the fundamentals remain strong for fed cattle and feeder cattle. In the feature segment today, are you interested in vegetable production but you want an edge to assure higher prices? Try high tunnels to extend your growing season.
Our tradition of learn by doing is creating new opportunities. My 4-H is involved with service projects in communities all across our state.
We develop leaders for Mississippi's future.
My 4-H is science and technology, everything from computers and robotics to exploring our environment.
My 4-H promotes active lifestyles and encourages physical fitness, healthy foods, and nutrition.
My 4-H is Mississippi 4-H.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The 40th Annual Ornamental Horticulture Field Day will be held Thursday, October 10th at Poplarville. Disease management, new crepe myrtle varieties, and plant variety trials are among the items on the agenda. The location is the South Mississippi Branch Station of the Mississippi Ag and Forestry Experiment Station. It's located at Poplarville across from Pearl River Community College. The registration fee is $10. If you're interested in starting a natural resource enterprise on your land, be sure to attend the workshop to be held Wednesday, October 16th. The location is the Multi-Purpose Center in Belzona. The hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Registration fee is $25. A participant will leave with the knowledge to start his own natural resource-based business on his land. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now, let's check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
Well, cattle futures at midweek seem to be in a drifting mode as traders seem uncommitted to either side of the market. The federal government shutdown meant that many USDA reports that the traders watch were unavailable. This helped to add to the lack of direction. Light feeder cattle trade has helped to move up prices for feeders to be delivered next year. Market analyst Jamie Kohaki says that he agrees that the feeder cattle and fed cattle markets are strong fundamentally.
But the market is still fundamentally strong. I'm still bullish longer term. It's been a very impressive, solid trade that we've seen. I would like to see December pull back down around 130.50, 130 area, maybe try to get long there. But I'm not chasing speculative longs up in here where they're at right now. But yeah, the cash market is strong, fundamentals are strong, and the longer term, I think you're still $2 higher by first quarter next year. The way the numbers look right now, feeder cattle getting a little bit overdone there. It has been a very, very impressive trade. $6, we ran into 50-day, shot straight up like a rocket and haven't looked back since. $6 rally, like I was saying. Would not chase it here either. Look for a couple of dollars setback to get long. But it's a demand-driven market. Supplies are tight, fundamentals are strong, demand is good, and I think there's still more upside longer term.
Well, before we get to Amy and our new feature story today, let's check the trivia answer for this week. Well, the answer today is 42. The National Association of Wheat Growers says you can make 42 1.5 pound commercial loaves from one 60-pound bushel of wheat.
For vegetable growers in the Mid-South, it sounds too good to be true. A production system that delivers better quality produce, higher yields, and an extended growing season in the spring and fall. These advantages explain why high tunnels have become increasingly popular among vegetable growers in the last 5 years. The development comes at a time when there is greater consumer demand for locally grown produce. Farm Week's Leighton Spann visited 2 producers using the technology in East Central Mississippi, one who's just getting started and another who is a seasoned veteran.
This comes in a lot earlier. We picked our first tomato April the 28th, I believe. The first ripe one, not the first green one, the first ripe one. And they are really beginning to come in now.
For fruit and vegetable producer Barbara Robinson, using high tunnels or hoop houses to grow her crops in East Central Mississippi makes perfect sense. The simple structures improve the profitability of her farm.
The earlier you get into the market, whether it's blueberries or vegetables, the better price you're going to get for it.
Robinson has 3 high tunnels on her farm in Quitman and is one of the more experienced producers in the state as far as this technology. Extension Area Horticulture Agent Wayne Porter and USDA NRCS personnel have used Robinson's farm to explain the benefits of high tunnel production to others.
Well, I think there is a possibility of people improving their cash flow and things like that by getting these crops out earlier in the year. We're looking right now, tomatoes probably a month earlier than the local producers, so you get a premium price.
Harvest is earlier because planting is earlier when using a high tunnel. The plastic-covered structures use the energy of the sun to warm the soil and the air inside, so crops can grow when it would be too cold on the outside in a typical field for production. Wayne Porter estimates producers can probably get a 50 cents per pound price advantage for having something early to a market using a high tunnel. Conversely, this technology also affords growers the opportunity to extend the growing season the other direction as well. A producer is able to grow fresh vegetables late into the fall and be paid a good price when they're ready to sell. However, Barbara Robinson found out there is a temperature limit for tunnel production when it's well below freezing.
I've grown vegetables planted them in the fall. The first ones I planted, the tomatoes, I had them to the temperature went down to 18 degrees. And when it went down to 18, I lost them. And that was in December of 10.
Just outside Meridian in Lauderdale County, producer Danny Daniels put up his first high tunnel in February 2012 and filled it with 240 tomato plants. This farm was used by Extension and NRCS for outreach meetings to explain high tunnels in 2012 and 2013. Daniels says just having the structure in view in his community improved his business.
It's been a lot of people interested in it, and they know I'm going to have tomatoes now. Used to, they couldn't see about the field.
Daniels planted the Bush Early Girl and Celebrity tomato varieties in his tunnel. As he told these visitors to his operation, there are adjustments when shifting to tunnel production from a traditional outdoor field setting. For example, variety selection is based on the need to give a sequence in ripening.
It's a learning process, and I've learned it since this is my first year with high tunnel, and so far it's working out real well.
Back in Quitman, Barbara Robinson planted Applause, Bush Early Girl, and Amelia varieties of tomatoes in her tunnels early in the year. She says the Bush Early Girl is supposed to mature in 52 to 54 days. In addition to tomatoes, Barbara Robinson also has cucumbers and a host of other vegetables growing in the high tunnels. Again, the tunnels provide early maturity on all crops.
She started harvesting bell peppers, hot pepper, eggplant in the last week of April, which is in a normal growing season, we'd be looking sometime in mid-June on these crops.
Robinson had never grown vegetables, only fruit such as blueberries, muscadines, and figs before she got her first high tunnel. She bought that first tunnel used from someone in Verona and hauled it down to east central Mississippi on a cattle trailer.
So I brought it back, and my grandsons and I erected it. Did not get the plastic tight enough, and a very heavy rain pulled it down in the center. So we had to go back up with it.
It was the spring of 2010 when Robinson planted her first crops in a high tunnel. The outer covering of these structures is typically a single layer of greenhouse-grade 4 to 6 mil polyethylene plastic. The frame is usually steel, but could be PVC pipe. A high tunnel is typically 30 feet wide, but its length can vary from 30 or 40 feet to over 100 feet. There are many sources for high tunnel building materials. It can be a do-it-yourself project from the ground up. You can also order a kit, or you can hire someone to bring in the materials and handle all the construction. Cost share programs are available too. Both Barbara Robinson and Danny Daniels took advantage of financial assistance available through the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service and EQIP to set up some of their production.
With the individual farmers today, we were able to cost share with the seasonal high tunnel, as well as the irrigation system to irrigate the produce inside the seasonal high tunnel.
Even without a cost share, though, I think you could pay off one of these tunnels in a 3-year period without too much effort.
Usually, the only external utility connection to a high tunnel is a drip irrigation system. The fact that it cannot rain inside the tunnel is a plus. Less moisture on the foliage means less chance for disease. This also reduces weed problems. There is no automated heating or cooling system. It's all done manually. Cooling is achieved by rolling up the plastic on the sides and ends of the tunnel. Heating is achieved by keeping the plastic down on all sides, naturally trapping solar heat during the daytime and keeping it in through the night.
The number one crop is tomatoes because that's a good high dollar crop. But if you got tomatoes, when you go to sell, you can sell other produce. Ms. Robinson here has the eggplants and the various kinds of peppers and some squashes. So, you know, the idea is sell something that anybody wants.
It's a formula that's working for Barbara Robinson as well as Danny Daniels and other producers. From East Central Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting.
You can watch this feature story again on high tunnels on our Farm Week website, Facebook page, or YouTube. The Mississippi State University Extension Service has a special portion of its website set apart with a lot of information on high tunnels. We'll also have that link on our website and Facebook fan page. That's farmweek.msucares.com.
And Amy, this is the kind of story we like to do on Farm Week because it's to get people to find out about things and to see people who are actually doing it. It's just the kind of thing that we strive for.
That's right.
Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, in honor of our 36th anniversary, we'll have Lillian Thornton, who was the subject of the very first feature story aired on Farm Week.
She was 81 years old at the time of Farm Week's visit, but she could outwork people half her age. She could lift hay bales with the best of them. Her story continues to resonate today.
In Southern Gardening, pansies, this old favorite, has been tuned up with new varieties and colors. And if you'd like further information on a Farm Week story, or you're looking for contact information on the high tunnels, get in touch. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. Our mailing address is Farm Week, Box 9625, Mississippi State, Mississippi. That's Box 9625, Mississippi State, Mississippi, 39762. Our telephone number, 662-325-2262. You can also contact us through your county office of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Amy Taylor. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.